Thank you, Brian. My name's Anita Benitez, and I'm with See Today's Institute for Teaching, and I'm going to be your host today. We have two guests that are actually going to be your presenters from Thrively. So Garish will be our first presenter. He'll kind of talk to you a little bit more about Thrively, and then Jane, his colleague. So we're actually really excited because this is an opportunity for us to kind of partner with Thrively, but also to provide this experience to our members. It's a great tool that you'll be able to see how you can actually use it and how it functions in your classroom. The other thing we're really excited about is we're in the process of putting together university credit. So if it's something that you're interested in, we'll have another 9 webinars scheduled. So with those 10 webinars total and about 5 hours of coursework, you can actually get about a unit of credit. And I think that's about $75. So once all of that's official, probably by next week, we'll have that posted and have information about that available as well. So for now, thank you all for joining us. You're going to love Thrively. If you haven't used it before, you're really going to see how it can be beneficial in your classroom. So I'm going to turn it over to Garish.
All righty. Thank you, Anita. Thank you for that brief introduction. Thank you all. I know you have a lot on your plate, so really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join this webinar. I keep saying that educators are the new warriors now, along with the first responders and the doctors. Trying to keep your kids healthy, safe, and enriched. So huge appreciation for what you guys do. So that puts a lot of pressure on me now. Okay, how to keep the next 45 minutes invigorating, and then hopefully at the end of the session, we have provided you a platform that will help you unlock the potential of your kids and help them to be happy and thriving. So if I don't do that, I'm doing a terrible job at that. So that's a pressure on me. So I'm supremely excited to share with you guys, why Thrively exists and how Thrively can make you all rockstar teachers. So with that background, Thrively started as a personal journey for me as a dad watching my son grow up. So you can see why I'm extremely passionate about this. I'm a parent first. I've been a serial entrepreneur. So first I have to state that I may sound like a quasi-educator because I've been working with a lot of rockstar educators over the last 3-4 years. But as I said, Thrively started as a personal journey for me as a dad watching my son grow up. One of the things I was very clear about is not to reduce my son to a letter grade in school. What's kid's identity in a school, right? You're an A grader, you're a B grader, or you're a gifted kid by telling 95% of the other kids as you're not gifted, or you're a special kid. We are very good at bucketing kids. Okay, and that's what we do. So one of the, the question that really popped up in my head when my son was kind of moving from elementary to middle school is how do I help my son understand who he is, what his strengths are? We are good at telling kids what they are not good at, what they should be good at, but we don't tell them how awesome they are in who they are, right? Unfortunately, education system is based on a deficit model, and parents are equally guilty of that, pushing their kids to get A grade. But we don't really look at how awesome every kid is, right? So how do I help my son understand who he is, what his strengths are? How do I help my son explore his aspirations? How do I help my son get exposed to all the enrichment out there? We all know exposure to the right opportunities at the right time can be life altering. That's what led to starting Thrively way back in 2013. So I don't know whether you guys know this fact. One of the fascinating things I learned about human brain while I was researching for Thrively, all humans are born with the same number of brain cells. So all of us here in this webinar today, Einstein, Picasso, Michelangelo, we are in a great club, by the way. So we were all born with the same number of brain cells. So as the brain gets stimulated, the connections between the brain cells increases, and more the connections, more information the brain can process. It just so happened, Einstein got more stimulated than most of us. So how we as parents and educators, when I drop my kid at 8 o'clock pick them up at 4 o'clock, 8 hours of enrichment at school, continued enrichment at home. If we can stimulate the kids, we can make sure that, every kid thrives in life. So Thrively was founded on a core philosophy that every child has a genius and they deserve to thrive. One of the unfortunate thing, right? When we talk about some interesting statistics, I want to share before I kind of go into how we will be able to support your kids in the classroom. 90% of the kids, 90% of the people who have been successful in life, I'm talking about Einstein or Richard Branson or Steven Spielberg or Muhammad Ali, or the list goes on. They were all uh, identified as special ed kids or dyslexic and ADHD, right? So 90% of the kids who are not successful in school, they are successful in life though, right? And today, we celebrate them, but our school would have identified them as, you know, B graders or the C graders or the special kids, right? So that's an interesting thing on the one side. And then there is an awesome research that I would love to, I'll share the link with you guys. This is a research done by Stanford, Stanford, Carnegie Mellon, and Harvard. Uh, they looked at people who are successful and happy in life, and they come to the conclusion that the academic content only constitutes to 15% of that. Academic content only constitutes to 15% of the success. Skills, 85%. And I keep reminding the educators that, we have reversed that in the classroom, right? And that's the journey you're going to, you're going to see over the next 45 minutes. By the way, I don't know whether you guys have added the numbers. Kids spend anywhere from 10,000 to 12,000 hours from K to 12. 7,500 hours inside the classroom, and anywhere from 3,000 to 4,500 hours outside the classroom. Their weekend activities, their after school activities, their summer activities. What have we done to our kids? We have reduced them to a number, their GPA, their ACT score, their SAT score. So how do we look at the holistic view of the child and help every child thrive in life, make their 10,000, 12,000 hours of their learning happy and exciting so that they can thrive in life? So that is the platform I'm going to unpack over the next 45 minutes. And there are a lot of pieces to that platform, but as I said, it's the holistic view of the kid that we will be looking at and making every kid thrive in life. So with that, the background genesis, let me share my screen here. Okay, so if you're seeing my screen here, Jane, you can just confirm if you are seeing the right screen. So this is basically what the Thrively platform is. Okay, so if you look at it, there are 5 core components to the Thrively platform. It all starts with knowing your students. Literally, I've done 3,000 presentations over the last 3-4 years. My heart bleeds and I choke up every time I tell the educators, we are teaching our kids without knowing who they are. What do we know about our kids outside of their academic grades and attendance record? Can every educator say, I know my kids' strengths. I know how they learn. I know their habits. I know their interests. I know their aspirations, right? So every kid in your classroom feels, I have talent. I belong in the classroom. As you know, 90% of the kids don't feel they belong in the classroom. I am respected and valued. I have a contribution to make to the society. Just the first piece of the platform, if you guys are able to implement it this year, that's it. That's a game changer by itself. The flip the deficit model to a strengths based, and also make every kid feel they are special. By the way, hear this research. Kids are 30 times more likely to be engaged when they think educators know their strengths. The biggest problem kids have is my teachers don't know me. And when they grow up, they say their adults know, their parents don't know them, right? So in 45 minutes to 1.5 hours, you will see the magic. We put your kids front and center in their learning and make parents and educators learning facilitators. Okay, what do they say? It takes a village to help kids thrive. So it is not just about kids getting to know themselves, it is also for educators to know them as well, right? And parents to know them, parents to know their own kids. As you know, most of the time, their parents don't know their kids well either. So that's what we do, helping you to know your kids and kids getting to know themselves. If you are familiar with Castle framework, self-awareness and self-management. They are the first two pieces of the Castle framework. And you can say check, check with just the first piece of the Thrively platform. The second piece of the platform is how do we help every kid find their passion and purpose? And we all know that if you follow Sir Ken Robinson's work, he talks about what you are good at and what you like to do. When they intersect, kids fly. Remember, most of the kids don't know why they're learning what they're learning. Okay, what did I say? 98% of the kids can't explain why they learn calculus or quadratic equations. If many of you are not math teachers here, I don't know when you last used calculus or quadratic equations. But then we go grade the kid, and you are a C grader, D grader, take the self-esteem out of the child. How do we connect what kids' aspirations to what they are trying to learn? When we make that connection, kids fly. 90% of the kids, they change their major year one after they go to college. Okay, so how do we help every kid find their passion and their purpose early on so that they are prepared for their life and prepared for their college as well? The third piece is skill development. I briefly touched upon that. How do we help our kids develop social skills, emotional skills, life skills, career skills, next gen skills? When your kids leave your elementary school or middle school or high school, yeah, they know science, math, English, history, but can every kid say, I'm a problem solver, I'm a creative thinker, I'm a skilled collaborator, I'm an effective communicator, I have resilience, tenacity, grit to take over my learning, to take over ownership of my life? And that's what we talk about, right? 4 C's, something schools talk about it for like 20 years. And I have done my own research, little research. Most of the kids don't know what 4 C's are, right? So how do we help kids develop those skills? And the fourth piece is what we call authentic learning. This is passion projects, project-based learning, inquiry-based learning. The K-12 education is reading from a book and reproducing from a book. We measure how well kids memorize and puke in the test. So how do we expose our kids to authentic learning experiences? You as awesome rockstar educators have been talking about PBL for like 20 years, but we understand there are a lot of challenges to implementing PBL. Thrively makes it very easy for you. Okay, and we will look into that. And the last piece is basically the whole journey of helping kids find their agency, their voice, and make them empowered learners. Their 10,000, 12,000 hours of their learning, all captured in their portfolio, in their portrait of a graduate, you call it mastery transcript. So when the kids leave the district, when the kids leave your middle high elementary school, the kids feel empowered. They're empowered learners. So that's what Thrively is all about: getting to know who you are, helping kids find their passion and purpose, developing all the skills, exposing them to authentic learning experiences, and take ownership of their learning. So with that, I'm going to jump into how do we do that. I think you all agree that that's exactly what we want to provide our kids, but how exactly we do that. So what you're seeing here is hello Andrew. So this is a demo account, my favorite child, but I'm going to kind of walk you through Andrew's journey. He's in middle school, but the Thrively is a K-12 platform. So, but I'm going to take for this, the webinar, I'm going to take Andrew's journey through his middle school. So as I said, the first part of the Thrively journey is helping kids get to know who they are, right? Providing them an identity. So we partnered with 2 of the 7 leading pediatric neuropsychologists here in California, Janine Beisman and Jamie Kimmel, and built out the industry first strength assessment for kids from ground up. We measured 23 strength areas from academic, analytical, problem solving, creative thinking, verbal acumen, social acumen, leadership. We are looking for the next UN Secretary General in your classroom, to a Beyonce, to a Wolf Blitzer, to an Elon Musk, right? So 80 questions, 30 to 35 minutes. At the end of the strength assessment, every kid will be presented with a positive and uplifting profile of who they are. Not to drink our own Kool-Aid, 99% of the educators will attest to you. It's one of the most surreal experience in their lives. Tears in teachers' eyes. Wow, I had no idea about this kid, and kids are going bonkers. At the end of, that, as I said, at the end of that 30, 35, 40 minutes, we provide every kid a positive and uplifting profile. So as Andrew goes and takes the strength assessment, this is basically his review. Hey, Andrew, you're focused with an analytical mind and a remarkably creative mind. Remember, we are we measure 23 strength areas, and we are showing every kid their top 5 strengths. In this case, Andrew is focused, he's analytical, he's a creative thinker, he's academic as well, and he has got memory, right? And then, here is the write-up that we provide to the kid. That kid goes bonkers, right? You're an exceptionally goal-oriented individual who takes pride in finishing projects you start. You have a gift of being able to focus on details. It is very, very hard for a kid to articulate this, right? When you ask a kid, who are you? By the way, if you ask 90% of the adults, who are you? They will tell you what they do, not who they are. Kids have a larger problem describing themselves. And by the way, the first thing you will be excited to do after this webinar, if you still have energy left, to take the strength assessment yourself. Look, this is what I got. Do you see who Girish is? Thoughtful sage. This is what I get. It will put a smile on your face, okay? Because we all want to know how awesome we are, right? Okay, and just in 30-35 minutes, you get to learn about yourself, and yourself, but a beautiful language provided to you, and telling your kids tomorrow, hey kids, these are my strengths. Let's see what are your strengths. What a great conversation to have with the kids, right? So in 45 minutes, we provide every kid an identity, and we unlock the genius of each kid in your classroom, right? So that's what we do in 45 minutes. As I said, there are additional instruments in Thrively. So I'm sure you're all familiar with multiple intelligences. This is based on Howard Gardner's work. As Gardner talked about, every kid has 8 intelligences. And also this helps you understand their intrapersonal skills, their interpersonal skills, and what kind of learner are they. Okay, whether they are cognitive learners, they are visual learners, auditory learners, they are musical learners, kinesthetic learners, right? And we know every kid is different, but we teach every kid the same subject, same way, and expect some magic to happen. And the magic never happens, right? Here, understanding, Andrew, wow, he's cognitive, he's intrapersonal skills, he's also like, a visual learner. Remember, one of the things, my favorite example always is, if a kid is doing good in, algebra and not doing good in geometry, what do you think 90% of the parents would complain about? Oh, teacher is not good because my kid was doing so good in algebra. For a parent, algebra, geometry, calculus, everything is one math. But what's happening under the hood is your kid is an auditory learner, so he's able to do well in algebra, but he's struggling with geometry because he's struggling with spatial stuff, visual stuff. That information for a parent to know, for a teacher to know, I need to take extra 2 minutes to scaffold the information for this kid, because he would take a little bit longer to learn, the visual spatial stuff. Game changer. No kid will ever say, I suck at math or I'm not good at something, right? So trying to understand their learning styles, and you can relate to that. And then my favorite is habits of mind. If you guys are familiar with Ben Akalik and Arthur Costa's work, this is 30 years of research, 16 habits that every kid and adult, by the way, need to develop for them to be successful and happy in life. Look at all the 16 habits, right? Managing impulsivity, thinking flexibly, listening with understanding and empathy, metacognition, questioning and problem posing, thinking independently, taking responsible risk, right? These are the habits your kids need to develop. If you as a teacher just ensure your kids have developed these habits by the time they leave your classroom, you just change their life for good, right? Some kids will take a little longer to learn calculus, some kids may take a little longer to learn certain things, but without these habits, the kids are not going to go anywhere. Remember, we are all lifelong learners today. You guys are under so much pressure, so much new things that you are learning. So the kids will continue to learn, but if they have developed these habits and open to continuous learning, thinking independently, they would you would have prepared them for life, right? And also we have, this is a assessment for middle school kids, understanding their personality. So, based on their personality, whether they're investigative, realistic, enterprising, this is a RIASEC assessment. So you can help kids navigate, what kind of career opportunities they would be interested in. And, as part of the onboarding, we also ask kids, what is it you want to become in life? Dream on. Remember, it's a cliche that, the carpenter's son need to become a carpenter, or a plumber's son need to become a plumber. No, you can become whatever you want to be in life. You just need to dream, right? And, we want to expose the kids to all that. This kid, I want to become an aerospace engineer. He loves airplanes. So he thinks he wants to become an aerospace engineer, pilot, dentist, doctor. Awesome, dream on. We will help you, right? We also ask interest. What exactly excites you? What wakes you up at 6:30 in the morning and come to school? The kid is interested in photography. He's interested in backpacking, skateboarding. We want to kind of understand their interests, right? So the teachers can align their interests with what they're teaching in the classroom. 6 dimensions of your child, 6 dimensions of your child, their interests, their aspirations, their personality, their habits, their learning styles, and their strengths. You would have known so much about your kids. By the way, most of the parents don't know 30-40% of their kids. And that's how I felt, when my son took all the assessments and all that. I always keep telling educators and parents, we look at our kids through the lens of what we want them to become, not what kids want to be themselves. And that is where the conflict arises, right? And that's what we do. Think of it a learner profile with 6 dimensions of your child right there, and making every kid. We hate to use the word assessment, but we educators love it, so we use that. But it is all about self-exploration. It is discovery, getting to know more about yourself. So every assessment in Thrively makes the kid feel special. Hey, these are my strengths, and these are my habits, and this is my personality. We do that. So now, as the kids are taking all these assessments, okay, let's look at what the teacher's profile will look like, right? So if you are seeing my screen, welcome Gene. So this is again, as I said, is our demo account. So this is one of you. Okay. So the magic really starts happening as your kids start taking the assessments. Look what happens in your classroom. So this is kind of your homepage, but let's look at your My Class. As the kids will start taking all these assessments, remember your dashboard, how it will look like. I'm sure you're used to looking at your grade book of A grades and B grades and their attendance record and all that. But with Thrively, look at what happens. Andrew wants to become an aerospace engineer. Daphne wants to become an artist, right? Michael wants to become an athletic trainer, right? And kids know when they walk into the classroom, my teacher knows me. Remember, I said 30 times increase in engagement when a kids think their educators know their strengths. And for you, click this card right here. Who is Andrew? His strengths, his aspirations, his interests. Click on Daphne. She's verbal, she's academic, right? Now, see, you have helped your kids unlock their assets. So now, Andrew is not doing good in math, what you're going to tell? Instead of saying, awesome math, you can, Andrew, you can do it. Andrew, you are analytical. You can figure it out. Okay, Daphne, you are resilient. Use your resilient strength. Don't give up. You can do it. That is it. Once you help kids identify their assets and you start pointing their assets to how they can learn, you just change the life of the child forever. And that's what we do. And more awesome things in Thrively, invite parent. Now you can send an email to the parent. Hey, look how awesome your child is. Remember, whenever I used to get an email from the school, oh, my kid got into trouble, I need to go to school. That's how I feel, right? Because most of the parents feel like that. When does school send an email to every child celebrating their awesomeness? And that is what Thrively does for you. And remember, I keep saying, it takes a village to help kids thrive. And especially if you have a Spanish population, the parents are disconnected because parents don't know what's going on. Your kids are studying in English, they can't relate to that. So we actually have assessment in Spanish. We also have the strength profile that can be that is already translated in Spanish. So for the Spanish parents to look at their kids, woo, I had no idea my kid is creative thinker, verbal, all these academic, and now the parents can start helping their kids. So that is how we put kids front and center in their learning and make parents and educators learning facilitators. So, and completely, right, the self-esteem, the confidence of the kid goes through the roof because every kid feels they are special. Okay, and one of the awesome data we provide you as a teacher, obviously you'll all have access to the Classroom Pro. When you look at insights on the left side and look at the strength interest breakdown, you will be able to look at your entire class. Obviously, if you have a middle school teacher and teaching 7 classes, or if you're a elementary school teacher looking at your particular class, you can go to all classes and you can see the breakdown of all the strengths, interests, aspirations of your kids. First time in the history of education, right? Oh, look at what are the top strengths of my kids? My 29 of my kids are flexible. Here are my kids who are analytical, 28 of them. Click on that, bar. Oh, here is Alandra, here is Anna, here is Ava, right? And this is where, what we would allow you to do is, if you're going to be signing up and using Classroom Pro, invite your parents. Click here under faculty list, and then go and add your parents. So add your principal, add your other teachers, because your principal needs to know this information, right? Think of your principal walking down the hallway and telling Ava, I know you want to become an actor. How are your acting lessons coming up? Because the principal knows their strengths, their interests, their aspirations. If you're able to relate to that, think of the reaction from Ava, mouth wide open. What? My parents don't know my interest and all that. How come you know that? And that is what we say, your principal, your assistant principal, your counselor, you as a teacher touching the kid every day, and then one or the other kid, and talking about their interests and aspirations, the school climate and culture goes through the roof, right? And that's what Thrively does. Okay, understanding what their strengths are. As you can see, by the way, you can also use Thrively, and a lot of the teachers use Thrively for grouping kids. uh, you can, many times I ask the teachers, how do you group kids? If you're doing a passion project or a project-based learning and all that, when you had to group kids, it's mostly random, right? Because we don't know a whole lot about our kids. With Thrively, you can create heterogeneous groups, right? Hey, here is a project. I need a kid with analytical skill. I need a kid who is resilient. I need a kid who is who has leadership skill. I need a kid who has got social justice as a strength. Now you're creating heterogeneous groups. Remember, when kids work with kids of other strengths and all that, they are rubbing on each other their strengths, right? And that's how you develop a whole child. And also, when you scroll down, you see what your kids are scoring low. Remember, we don't use the word weakness in Thrively. No kid has any weakness. What they lack is exposure. Depending on their economic environment, social environment, what parents expose them to early on, some kids may not know that, and this will help you. My kids are scoring low on leadership. My kids are scoring low on social justice, or lacking social skills. That is helping you as a teacher, and you can go back to your principal. You can talk to their counselors, and how do we help these kids develop these strengths? The good news in Thrively, you have a lot of content, as you can see, a lot of content which will come in a second, to help kids develop on these strengths. Okay, and you will see that. And also, as you scroll down, you will see what my kids are interested in, right? Oh, here are my 23 kids who are interested in science and technology. Let me click on that. Wow, they're interested in robotics and engineering, math. If you are a math teacher, if you are a English language teacher, understanding academic area where your kids are interested in, or looking at their creative arts, what all they interested in, all that, and you being able to relate to that, game changer. I get teary-eyed emails from a lot of the teachers. Hey, you changed the way we teach the kids. Some of my kids were not doing good in math, but I found out they love baseball. I started infusing baseball instruction into my math, and now my kids are supremely engaged, right? Sports is the best way to teach math, because every kid loves sports, right? It is just, again, connecting to their interests, their aspirations, and align with that. Kids are flying. Trying to understand, what is that they want to become when they grow up, their pathways. If you keep scrolling down, what kind of learners I have in my classroom, and how do I kind of infuse the instruction accordingly. What habits my kids are having. Oh, they are not they're not ready to take responsible, they're not taking risks, or they're not thinking flexibly. How do I make them to be flexible thinkers? How do I help them listening with understanding and empathy, right? Once you start helping kids develop their habits and their talk to their strengths and interests, I call this personalization on steroids, right? Okay, so that's the first part of the Thrively journey. Okay, just next couple of months, if you just help kids work on these assessments, you're also helping with their social skills, their emotional skills. Okay, you can start having a much more highly engaging and invigorating classroom there. So I'm not going to go through every feature here. I would love to keep last 15 minutes for question and answer. But the second part of the platform to help you guys navigate through this. So as you try to understand the unlock the assets of your kids and all that, there is a feature called lessons here. Remember, we talked about skill development. So one of the things we know is teachers have got a lot of stuff on their plate. And, when anyone is asking you guys to do more, that's cruel, right? When you have already so many things going on. We understand that. And what we are trying to do is to support you with the content that you need. Thrively has 40,000 plus minutes of instructional content, enough to keep your kids engaged and enriched for the next 20 years. Okay, and we will be adding new content, almost on a weekly basis. So if you go to lessons, you can look at all the categories here, right? Helping kids develop communication skills, presentation literacy, all the four C's we talk about: communication, critical thinking, creativity. If you're a high school teacher with college readiness, if you're within a SCL, you need to bring empathy, grit, mindfulness, gratitude. You're a STEM teacher, entrepreneurship, leadership development, growth mindset, digital citizenship. Pretty much everything you kind of talk about that you need to help your kids build upon that, Thrively has all the content for you. Okay, and that's why we are here. So if you see some content that is not available, tell us, and we will help you with that, right? And just to let you know how a typical lesson in Thrively works. Grit, my favorite thing, because every kid, we need to make sure that they develop grit. You can see a lot of lessons around grit. Okay, so it is not just like one lesson fit all. So you can let your kids pick which lesson they want to go to, but you can also assign a specific lesson to the kids. So let's say this is my favorite lesson. Here is a lesson on grit. As you can see, every lesson in Thrively is for 30 to 40 minutes, one classroom sitting. But what we have done is we have further broken down the lesson into exercises. Here is exercise 1, here is exercise 2. Okay, so that Thrively can be infused in 15-20 minute chunks if you want to do that, or it could be a full your 50-minute class, or if you want to do it in an advisory block of 1.5 hours, you can do that as well. So we can slice and dice in many ways to fit into your classroom. A typical lesson, as you can see in Thrively, a lot of videos, very engaging videos. 90% of them are videos. It could be a audio clip, it could be a website article. So the kids get to consume that content. You also see the speaker icon, so you can turn it on so the kids can listen to that. So equity and access is supremely important in Thrively. So if they can listen to that, if the kids are struggling with reading and all that, so ELA students love this. So after the kids get to consume the content, remember, kids consume a lot of content, but they don't internalize. So how do you help your kids to become reflective learners? So with Thrively, after they consume every content, the kids they have to reflect on that. Hey, do you believe anyone can become successful? Now the kids get to reflect on that. The further beauty in Thrively, as you can see, the kids can do a text reflection, they can do an audio, or they can do a video as well. Okay, and we have seen the engagement going through the roof with video reflection, because most of the kids don't want to write. If you force them to write, they'll write 1 line, 2 lines at max. But now with audio and video, the kids, you have to tell them to stop, right? And all the reflections the kids are producing, you as a teacher can go and click on journal entries and see what your kids are reflecting upon. And then you can give them a star, you can leave them a comment, awesome job, kiddo. You can do it all real time. Okay, and the beauty again is if you have invited your principal, your assistant principal, your counselors, and your learning specialists and all that, they get to see what your kids are reflecting on, and they can also give them a star and a comment. Think of a principal taking 5 minutes in a day. Request your principal 5 minutes in a day. Look at some of the journal entries. This is your Twitter feed. This is your kids' reflections, and give them a star. My principal read my journal. My counselor read my journal. My superintendent read my journal. You just one such comment or a star, you change the life of the kid. She or he will be roaming around the school, telling about how excited she is, right? And that's what Thrively does for you again, right? And another cool feature in Thrively is custom journals. So it is not just the journals are tied to the content in Thrively. You can create custom journals. So especially in this environment, if you want your kids to kind of reflect on gratitude or empathy, or it could be just even critical thinking, flexible thinking, give a topic, create a journal, ask your kids to reflect on that. Most of the teachers are now getting rid of the homework and using Thrively journals to kind of reflect upon that. Okay, and then kids will love it. Over a week, and ask them to reflect on what they learned, and or it could be an academic thing, it could be a non-academic thing. And kids love that because they can do a video reflection, they can do an audio reflection. and it is, pretty cool stuff. Now, there is so much content in Thrively, as I told you, thousands of lessons. So we understand teachers are busy, they've got too many stuff going on. To make your life even more easy, we created this feature called playlist, right? So think of playlist as collection of content, scope and sequence, all built out for you, scope and sequence. So here is an example. We keep talking about social emotional learning is, supremely important. You can see a bunch of playlists around that, right? Here is one playlist. I'll show you SEL competencies. So this is basically Castle aligned playlist. So we looked at the whole Castle framework and look at all the lessons that we have built out to support your, Castle framework. So if you're a teacher, if you're an, if your counselor needs help, or you're a counselor and you need to infuse as a teacher some of these things, all you have to do is click on assign students. You can assign to the entire grade. You can assign to the particular class section, or you can assign to an individual kid. I said personalization on steroids. Okay, so that is it. You assign the kids and then see the magic happening, and kids can navigate on their own. So the whole product has been built from a student-centered way. All you have to do is, there is awesome content, let me create my own playlist, or you can take advantage of your existing playlists that are already out there. Or you can, as I said, you can create custom playlist and start adding all that to that playlist. So a lot of awesome content in Thrively delivered through lessons and playlists to help your kids develop the skills and academic enrichment, STEM enrichment, all of that. There are a couple of other features I want to show, and I'll try to shut my mouth and open it up for a few question and answers here. One of the things we talked about is the project-based learning. Okay, so you guys will love that. Remember, one of the challenges in this new environment is, it's very hard to keep the kids engaged. Your Zoom call, with teachers talking, there is not much collaboration happening. We kind of talk about, right? It's one-dimensional learning. Here is a lesson plan, and I go through it, and the end of the lesson plan, kids are going to answer some questions. It becomes very hard sometimes. And, you guys have a lot of challenges, with the Zoom calls, and many times kids hiding behind the video. What we have done for you is turn this one-dimensional experience into a four-dimensional experience, and, help the engagement will go through the roof. Okay, so this is kind of the project, PBL environment we have created for you. Just an example of, here's a project, endangered animals and habitats, right? You may be a fifth grade teacher, sixth grade teacher teaching this thing as a science right? What you're seeing under activities is basically your lesson plan, right? Most of our projects in Thrively, keep in mind, we have created so many projects for you, hundreds of projects at your fingertips. Just click on start project, and they're all tied to the already classroom standards, right? So here is an example of a project. Here is the lesson plan. Look at that, right? Step-by-step instruction for your kids. Why are habitats important? Click on that right here, the video. Kids are not going in 10 different places, all kind of beautifully organized for them, making it very, very engaging content. Okay, and what you do, click on Teams. Hey, I've got 20 kids in my class. I'm going to create 4 groups of 5 kids each. That's collaboration, right? You can assign the project to the kids individually, or you can create these groups. And look what's happening on the left side. The kids are collaborating. They're look at all the cool things they're uploading, their artifacts, they're engaged. And you as a teacher can sit behind and see, okay, where is Rachel? Oh, Rachel is there. Where is Samantha? Oh, I can see what Samantha is posting. You can see the whole classroom, whole team collaborating there, and you become the facilitator, right? And all the artifacts the kids are producing will show up under artifacts, right? So this is, what the next gen education need to be. You can create your own. By the way, you can just click on create new project and create your own project. If you already have the content, it takes literally no time for you to create the project, or you can use existing projects in Thrively, and then you should be able to customize that completely. Look, edit button here. Oh, instead of this video, I'm going to have my own cool video that I am used to. I'm going to show that video to the kids, right? So that's what, in Thrively, making life really, really easy for the teachers. Okay, and that's what we do. And hundreds of units. We continue to build out a lot of units for you guys. Our job is to provide you engaging, enriching content so that you could be creating a more engaging classroom there, right? So that's the another couple of pieces I just want to go and end the session with is the goal setting in Thrively. Okay, so remember, we talk about, every kid need to become a collaborator, flexible thinker. We want them to be empathetic and all that. But do we measure that? We don't. What do we measure? Their grades in, their how are they doing in math, science, English, and all that. So we are more focused on content rather than the skill, right? So with Thrively, you can now create your own goals, right? I want my kids to be problem solvers. I want my kids to be flexible thinkers, and I want to help them kids develop grit. How awesome that is. At the beginning of your class, beginning of the year, hey kids, by the time you leave my class, these are 3 4 skills or goals you would be working on, or what you would be at the end of it, right? Yes, you are learning science, math, English along the way, but these are the goals that we are working towards too. So you can create your own goals, or Thrively has already populated some of the goals for you. Take an example, flexible thinking. I want all my kids to develop flexible thinking ability, right? And you can go look in Thrively. You can create an action plan. Here is what I want my kids to be doing for them to become flexible thinkers. And then I can attach rubrics. Okay, because remember, what does kid need? Kids need to know what is that I need to work on, what is it I need to do, and how I'm going to get measured. If the kid knows that, they're flying, right? So create an action plan, create the rubrics and all that, click on assign students, assign the goal to the kids. That's it, right? And now you will see, I'll go back to the kids thing in a minute, but as the kids are working on the goal, oh, let's see what Andrew is doing. Okay, and I can see all the highlights that kid is adding to work on demonstrating their goal towards becoming a flexible thinker. So you as a teacher can say, I need to see 10 pieces of evidence of your learning over the next 12 months. So every month, post a reflection highlighting what did you do to become a flexible thinker, whether it is a math class or an English class or a history class. Now the kid is thinking about, oh, am I be a flexible thinker, right? And that's what we do. The goal setting is a big, completely transform your school to be a, goal driven school. So just the last piece to end all this thing is the student portfolio. We talked about agency and all that. Okay, so I'll switch again back to the kid again here. So if you go back to the Andrew, if you're seeing that, look at the portfolio of the child, right? As an elementary school kid, middle school kid, when does the kid start writing a portfolio? When they get to the 11th grade, when they in the Common App, when they have to fill in, write about yourself, that's a big chore for the kid. With Thrively, portfolio is already constructed for them, right? Okay, so look what happens when the kid signs up for Thrively. We know their interests, we know their aspirations, we gave them a beautiful language of who they are. Now we tell the kid, hey, Andrew, go tell the world how awesome you are. Hey, watch out. If I see you, then I'll ask if I can take a picture of you. This kid is all excited, right? He's telling about himself. What is that he wants to be? He's uploading some cool artifacts, pictures of himself. So, this is kind of the LinkedIn profile, share your awesomeness. And, as the kids complete all the different assessments, it all flows into Thrively. Look at this, right? You use Thrively in this year. When the kid goes to the next year, the next grade teacher already start with knowing the kids' strengths. Wow, look at how the kids learn, their habits and their profile, which we all went over. And look at all the goals that I had assigned to them and what the kids are doing. So when you assigned a goal, it will show up in their portfolio, right? So, we assigned a goal, flexible thinking, remember? So the kid will click on the goal, and what is kid doing? Kid will go to highlight, add a highlight. Here is what I did, and I will attach evidence of my learning. I'll post a photo, video, audio, or something, how much time I spent on it. That's it. Look at this. The kid is like, hey, I'm part of the photography club in school, and this is where I showed my flexible thinking skill, and this is how they're demonstrating, their mastery towards that, right? So whether you're a SPET teacher, whether you are a CTE teacher, whether you're a math teacher, science teacher, set the goals for your kids, and your kids are flying, right? And all those goals are are in their portfolio, and all the highlights that they're adding all tracked in Thrively. At the end of it, you can give them a badge. Awesome job, kiddo. And here is the positive acknowledgement, right, for the kids. So you can create your own badges in Thrively and assign the badges to them. All the projects that the kids are working on, they also flow into their portfolio. All the highlights that they're adding every week, every month, working towards their goal, all flows into Thrively. Look at all their journey, the whole journey, their extracurricular activities they're doing and all that. What do they say? It takes a year for a teacher to know the kid. By the time the kid has moved to the other grade, with Thrively, even before you walk into the classroom, you already know who the kid is. So now how I as a teacher can facilitate this awesome kid, and then the 1,000 hours they spend in every grade, how can I unlock their awesomeness further and safely land them into the next grade? So that's the whole journey. It's all strengths based, it's skill based, it is goal driven, it is student centered, teacher facilitated, and provide experiential learning for your kids. Okay, so as I said, it could be a little bit overwhelming, but remember, it is their 10,000 hours of their journey. I try to unpack it in the last 45 minutes, but there are pieces that you can start doing that, as we talked about, just going and helping your kids get to know who they are, and some lessons around social emotional learning and the stuff that you are teaching. Create some goals and then help your kids build their agency, their voice. You will be a rock star teacher. Your kids awesomeness, you're taking that to the next level. So that's what we have done. I always say at the end of it, Thrively started as a personal journey for me, as a dad watching my son grow up, but some educators saw Thrively, and that's how Thrively got into this classroom in the first place. Okay, initially it was built for parents. There was a question from one of the teachers about the Common Sense Media, because Common Sense Media had looked at us when we were early on, when we are a resource for the parents, which we are even now. But we got into the classroom in 2017 because of educators like yourselves, and then working with 5 educators in 2017, we now have 120,000 plus educators, 1.5 million kids on the platform, and we are trying to unlock the potential of every kid. So I say Thrively is for the educators and by the educators. So we are here to support you and make you all rock star educators and help every child in your classroom happy and thriving. When we do that, we're going to make a huge impact on our society, and that is our goal. Okay, so it's all about you. It's all about helping you guys. Any help you need, Thrively is very relevant now, especially when kids are struggling to know themselves and their challenge, the trauma they go through. If we can instill that hope and happiness in them, and help every kid know who they are, help them their potential, unlimited potential they have, that can be unlocked, we're going to have a happy classroom and happy teachers and happy students and happy parents. Okay, so I'm going to really shut my mouth right now. I get too excited because you can see why that excitement. Because seeing the smile on every kid, which we do, thousands of kids every day, we put a happy smile on their face, and that is why Jane here, my colleague, is also sitting there with you guys and me, and that's what makes our life. Getting up every day 6 o'clock and sleeping at 12 o'clock, but seeing that happiness that we are putting on the kids. And without you guys, we are not here. We are dead without you guys. So our job is to help you, support you guys through that. And as Anita said at the beginning, this is the first of the 10, 12 webinars we will be doing. So Jane will be driving that, and we'll go deep into specific areas, whether it is project-based learning, whether it is student agency, whether it is with IEPs, whether it is MTSS, PBIS, whether it is career exploration. Thrively supports all of that, and we will go deep into that. So what we want to do in this webinar is to provide you the big picture, and then if you just start with that, the first part of it, I think we would have made a meaningful difference in our kids' lives. Okay, I'll let you, if any questions you can answer, chat, we can do that. Anita, let me know.
There are some questions. Before Anita, before you start, Girish, there was a question on how to access or view reports. So can you just share that briefly again?
Yeah, so I can, let me go back to the parent, to the teachers. You're seeing my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the good news is, as I said, the Thrively, all the content you assign to the kids through playlists. Okay, you can share individual lessons with your kids for sure. But one of the things we like you guys to do is to create a playlist, because we want to create an experience. Okay, generally when you're assigning individual lessons, it is a very siloed experience for the kid. So how do you provide a more immersive experience for the kids? So every time you assign the playlist, you can see here, progress report. Right here, you can click on that. So you can see, you know, how many kids have started, how many kids are in progress, and where each kid is. So you have complete control over what your kids are doing. And one of the other couple of cool features, good question, you see this notifications on your top right, on the top right corner. This is your real-time notification window. As your kids are doing all the cool things, it keeps showing up right here. Your kid just responded to your journal, click on that, look right here. And you can go, you know, leave your comment, or you can give them a star. It's so simple. Your kids are responding to your prompts. Just go there and, you know, I know you cannot be, you'll not be able to answer everything, but, you know, randomly you can go click on some of these things. You know, so basically, whether you assigned a goal, whether you assigned a playlist, even same thing with the goal, right? When you click on a goal, you will see a progress report here. So wherever you have got, we're assigning the content, you will see the progress report right there. So many ways you can get to that information. By the way, one big thing is also like, you know, journals. If you click on journals, all the things your kids are reflecting on, because as you're assigning the lessons and all that, your kids are reflecting on it. So you can see all the reflections, you can see right here, right? You can also search by the student name. You can sort by everywhere. You can search by student name, and you can look at your individual classroom as well, or your entire school. So.
Thank you. And then there was another question about student interest in disabling limits on student interest. Can they be
disabling what?
Can student interest be limitless? Can they?
Yeah, right now it is limitless. You know, we just want them to, by the way, it is not just what they select at the beginning. The students at any point of time through their portfolio, as they uncover new interests, as they uncover their new aspirations. This is a real-time profile. Okay, so by the way, Thrively is surfacing some new things also. At the same time as the kids are exploring new things, they can keep updating their profile.
That was it.
Yeah, and there is no limit on that. So.
Very good. So we actually had posted, so those of you that are actually, thank you so much, Garish, for actually going over. That was well done. We appreciate it. And I think that really kind of is, it's inspirational. It kind of inspires us in what we can actually do, knowing that Thrively is such a wonderful tool that we can actually use with our students. So in the chat, we actually listed, there is a link. If you are a current CTA member, we can actually upgrade you to Classroom Pro with, we're working with Thrively on this. So all you need to do is fill out the form that we've actually placed in the link under the chat, and you'll be able to, we'll be able to kind of share that with Garish and Jane and Thrively and kind of be able to do that for you. So do we have, what grade is Thrively for? That was one of the next questions.
It's a K to 12 from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. So we have a separate assessment for K to 2, and then separate strength assessment for 8 to 18. So yeah, it's a full K to 12 program. And Anita, just to add to Anita, so I think we'll paste our email address here, Jane at thrively.com and Girish at thrively.com. So feel free to reach out to us at any time. We are here to support you. We know there's a lot of stuff here, but again, reach out to us anytime, or reach out to Anita if you need our contact information. But again, Girish at thrively.com and Jane at thrively.com. And we are here to support you 24/7.
And absolutely, the other thing we wanted to add is we're looking at the sessions that's going to come out, and it's going to be a Thrively. We're calling it a strength-based whole child approach to student engagement. And this is going to be the Thrively Professional Development webinar series that's going to be coming to you shortly. And some of the items I'm just going to kind of go over that you can kind of look forward to is we have a couple of the webinars that are going to be focusing on students with learning differences. We have 2 parts for that. We also have social and emotional learning. That's also a part of a 2-part series. So these are really authentic peer-to-peer collaboration and equity for English language learners. So those are some of our focus areas. And I'm thinking that would actually help if you have those particular areas that you really would like to focus on. If not, I'm sure with the sessions, Jane will also, it's giving you an opportunity. We're going to try to offer these on a monthly basis, and we're still in the process of working out when that's going to be. So if you do have a question or you come to something and you say, well, okay, this is great. Now what can I do with it? I'm sure Jane, because Jane will be joining us on the other sessions, kind of help walk you through any of those questions that you might have. So again, if you're interested, please do go ahead and follow the link. We've also are going to be recording this session, or it is recording. I shouldn't say going to. It's been recorded. So we'll also offer that, and that link was also offered in the chat. So you can also go back if you need to read. You want to go over anything, recap on anything, share that with individuals. Please do that as well. Anything else? Is this program only in English, Garish?
So we have some of the assessments in Spanish. Okay. So, a lot of the videos and all that, obviously you can do closed captioning. And, right now, primarily English, but, we do support definitely ELL kids in a big way.
Garish, you rock. Apparently, yeah, you definitely rock. Apparently they were, we had one of the panel, one of the participants said that they used stamps.com 15 years ago.
Wow, okay. That's nostalgic moments for me, years for me. Awesome. Thank you all for your time. Again, you guys are the warriors, so deep appreciation for everything you do. Thrively exists because of you guys, and we are here to help you out in many ways. So this is not another tool, and this is not why CTA has partnered with us. This is a collaboration. So anything that you guys need in the classroom, we can partner that. One of the things that we are talking to Anita and the team is to kind of provide CTA specific playlists, okay, to help with the social emotional stuff, the traumas, this one, many things. So if you guys have any ideas and like what help you guys need, we would be ecstatic to work with you guys, collaborate with you guys, and make it available. Okay.
And the other question we had, if there was a cost. Now, there is one that's free that you can actually use, the Thrively, that's the kind of open to everyone. Now, if you're interested in upgrading to the Classroom Pro, that's also free to you as a CTA member. So that's, you can go with either one. The Classroom Pro has a few more bells and whistles, I like to say. There's a lot, more that you can actually get into more. It's a deeper, really more cognitive kind of approach to it. But you can use Thrively also, without a cost, even, if you're not.
Yeah, and also there's a question, will Thrively be viewed by the students? No, the journal entries are all between the teacher and the student. So it's all private for walled garden. There is also a feature where you can have a classroom discussion where you can open it for all the kids to see, but that you can control that. But by default, it's all private.
Can we post the link to the reflection for this session in the chat, please? Brian, do you have that available?
I gotta hunt down the link. I know it's on the Eventbrite page that people were at just before they came into this session. Let me see if I can pull it out and post it here. And somebody mentioned to us at the beginning of the session, today's event was not listed under the certificates. I know that has been fixed, but give me just a second and I will track down the link and post it here.
Now, for those of you that aren't familiar with the sessions that we offer with CTA through the webinar series, we actually, if they do a reflection piece, they're able to get a certificate of completion for the webinar for this particular date. So that's what they're kind of referring to. And there's actually a link that they go to and it's all kind of done. There you go. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah. So
Anita, did you bring up the Chico,
Yes, and the Chico also, and kind of touched on that in the beginning. So with the completion of the 10 webinars in this series that we're offering for Thrively Professional Development, then that followed with about 5 hours of coursework will kind of be integrated with that. You will be able to get the, apply for the units through University of Chico State, and that will be $75 for that one unit. So that is something also that's available to you.
And last thing, if you guys really liked what you saw and all that, as you are using it, as Anita said, CTM members, have access to Classroom Pro. It's awesome for you guys to invite your principal. If the school is interested, we can do that. Thrively is very powerful when it is, used by all the teachers, because, when you do a strength assessment, one teacher does the strength assessment, every teacher get to know the kid. Okay, so it becomes very powerful. So feel free to share that, invite your other teachers, especially your counselors and your principals and all that. So, they can really see the, classrooms transforming.
Let's see, do we have any more questions there?
All righty.
Gurish, do you make comments on students' posts in Thrively?
Yes, teachers can make that, absolutely.
And does Thrively share data on kids, a privacy issue?
No. Very important. I know there was a first question at the beginning. Thrively is COPPA certified, FERPA certified. We actually have signed the CSDPA, California Student Data Privacy. So most of the districts in California, we already have signed that. So student data is sacrosanct for us, for everyone. Okay, so.
Will you please state what webinars count towards the Chico State credits? It will be a series, and there will be 10 webinars in the series. So this first one that you just were in, so this will be the one, and there will be 9 additional webinars.
And they'll all be organized around Thrively, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's
I'm
a little
sorry?
bit different. They'll all be organized around Thrively. It's a
That's
little
correct.
bit different than some of the other CTA IPD webinars. Those, we offer the certificates of participation in case anybody's got professional development requirements for their schools, or different districts accept different things for salary advancement. But for the Thrively sessions in particular, Anita is organizing something with Chico State to be able to offer a small amount of university credit for that. All right.
All righty, 4:32. So thank you for your time. I know it's a long day for you guys, but hopefully this was invigorating, and you guys, we have provided you a platform that will make your life easier. So at least that's the goal.
Great, thank you.